that if I am elected your representative, every time, every weekend that Congress is not meeting in Washington, D.C., when I am supposed to be there because I would be there doing my job, not missing votes, because you pay my salary to go there to work for you, I would be right here in this district, traveling not by helicopter, not by some fancy motor coach, but in my Ford Escape, putting another 50,000 miles on it, because I promise you that before I go to Washington, D.C., before I go, which is not until January, that you will see me in NAACP meetings, at chili suppers at Moss Bradley. I will be holding town hall meetings asking you, before I go to Washington, what you want me to do for you, with you, when I go to Washington. And that is my solemn word.
What are you willing to do differently than other Democrats and Republicans currently in Congress, if elected, to reach across the aisle and vote for bills to become laws that will be beneficial to the entire country? Because if it's beneficial to the entire country, it's beneficial to our district. And are you willing to make votes, even if it goes against your party's beliefs and platforms? Are you willing to vote for the benefit of the country instead of the benefit of your party?
Well, I've said from the get-go that decisions should be made for the common good and not for the good of the special interests. But I did want to read the back of my campaign card because it does speak to this. It says red, green, and blue, bringing people together. So certainly that has been part of our platform from the beginning. And the third thing I must say to this is that as not a Republican and not a Democrat, I think I bring more opportunity to the table to start redressing the acrimony between the aisles than either somebody from one side or the other side could possibly do, which doesn't mean that we're powerless. And in fact, if you look at a closely divided Congress, which I think is what it's going to be at the end of the next election cycle, and we can see a good example in Australia where they came out exactly deadlocked, except there were 4 independents and 1 green. So 1 green holds the sway over which way the vote goes. And I'm not a predictable vote. I am not a conservative and I'm not a liberal. I'm not a progressive. I am me and I am you. And I think that's the important thing to remember, that when you have the deciding vote, you have something to parlay. You have an incredible amount of power. And I think we're going to see that a few people, a few independent voices are going to actually wield that kind of power in the next Congress when the vote comes down 50-50 between after the next election.
I'd just like to say, you know, I've gotten to know Sheldon throughout this campaign season, and I have a great deal of respect for what Sheldon is doing to be a voice of a third party. And I think that a lot of what we see right now in Congress, unfortunately, comes down to a lack of respect. Respect for people of different voices. I don't know, I guess maybe I do within the last couple of years, when things got so rancorous and when people quit working together. Because if we look at Ray LaHood, he was known for bipartisanship, as was Bob Michael, the 2 previous legislators who represented this district. That's what we have to do. Our own, she'll be here next, Jahan Gordon, your representative here. She is a bridge builder. I mean, that is what you do if you serve the people that you represent well. And I am, you know, all I can say is I am willing to step across the aisle, and it's based on the experience that I've had for about a 30-year career when I've had to engage in making things work and learned well what we call the art of compromise. When I listened to I watched a video of Aaron Schock that talked about the health care bill, the current health care bill. And Aaron on the video said, my party agrees with 80% of what is in that bill. If I agree with 80% of what's in a bill, I'm going to feel pretty darn good about it, and I'm going to vote yes on that bill. I call that a good compromise. I don't call that a reason to say no. I call that what the people are doing right now is they are deciding up front to say no and be obstructionist. They are deciding right now up front to do anything and everything to make our president look bad. That's right. The man, Newt Gingrich, who's going to be with Aaron Schock in Washington, Illinois tomorrow, has said our president is part of a socialist machine. That's just wrong. Our president and people in Congress, people like me, like I fully well intend to be, are there to help people who can't help themselves. I've said it before, and I truly mean it. The only reason I'm going is to represent your interests, and if I have to take a vote against whomever happens to be the Democratic leader at that time, because it's in the best interest of the country, or it's in the best interest of the people that I serve, I'll take that vote, because I owe you, the voters. I don't owe the chairman of any party anything. They didn't elect me. They didn't spend any money to help me get there. If I get there, it's for one reason and one reason only. You voted for me over the other guys, and you are my main responsibility.